everyone, I'm Sophie Rankine and it is my absolute pleasure to be at Step today in Stirling, and we are filming the very first episode of the Stirling Business Podcast. And I'm here today with Vicky Murphy, and we're going to be chatting about Step, what it stands for, its role in the community, and Vicky's role in HR. Hello.
Hello. Thanks very much for joining us today, Sophie.
It is absolutely amazing setting. Absolutely fantastic.
We've done quite a lot of work recently, to be fair. This room in particular is one of our newest. So it's exciting to have the opportunity to showcase a bit of that. But yes, nothing stands still here at Step. There's always something and another project going on. So we can cover that when we talk about where we've been and where we're going.
In the journey.
Yes, definitely.
All right, can you tell us a bit what does Step stand for?
Okay, so I'll try and do a little bit of a potted history for you and sort of generalise. But basically, I mean, we were 40 last year, so we had our 40th birthday celebrations. So 41 years ago, when John Player was actually gifted to the Stirling community, so the Stirling Enterprise Park, this building, the John Player building that used to be to do with the cigarette factory, it started up a whole ethos of trying to help the community, because obviously there was jobs displaced and then this buildings was left. So, and the whole ethos was, what can we do to put that back into the community? So STEP was born. STEP stands for Stirling Enterprise Park, which is where we are. It's the name of this building. We've got other buildings around Stirling. But STEP is the custodian of that responsibility. So here we've got, tenants, we've got workshops, we've got office spaces, but the services that we deliver are there to support, help grow and establish and incubate lots of businesses around Stirling. So that's kind of how it started, and that's our foundation and all about putting it back in. So that's kind of where it came from.
Fantastic. And can you tell us a bit about your role at Step?
Yeah, so I'm the director of HR and OD here. I've been here for 8 years, and we've grown the HR department quite considerably. The HR department is slightly different. We refer to it as Step HR, so it looks a little bit standalone and independent. We're different from the rest of what we do because we work across the UK. So we work in England, Wales and Scotland. We don't currently work in Ireland, but any offers, we're there. So where we are at the moment is that we've got lots of different offerings. One of the main ones is a retained HR service. So it's like you would outsource your HR department to us. So if it either doesn't make sense for you to have your own HR department, you're maybe too small, it's too costly to pay that salary, or you've got an HR department and you want to bolster that and give them a bit of a hand, you would outsource that. And we do that on a retained basis. And how it links in is that we do that across all those other areas, but we feed that in and support Stirling businesses as a benefit of that, which keeps it to our ethos. So we're a partner for some organisations like Development Trust Association Scotland and Wales, which means that we are on their framework and we support hundreds of development trusts and give them advice. So sometimes it's a framework, sometimes it's a direct relationship with a company. And that can be whether they've got 2 employees and, it's maybe a father and son that have started a business and they've then employed someone else if they've grown, or it can be some of our bigger clients who have got maybe 400 to 500. They might have an HR manager in there and we work to support them. So that's why the breadth of what we do is so vast, really.
Amazing. So if a business in Stirling was looking for HR support, how would they go about accessing that from Step?
So they come in various different ways. Obviously, we've got our property department, we've got our business advisors, we've got the IT, the marketing, and we've got HR themselves. So sometimes they'll come in through a conversation. It might not be, I need HR support, I'm going to phone Step HR, I'm going to phone Step and ask for the HR department. It might be that it's a tenant who has an HR issue. It might be that it's a business that is engaging with a business advisor on how to get their Facebook page more likes or something, and then that HR conversation starts. If they're a Stirling business, the first thing we do is access funding. If we've got funding available, and we generally have a pot that we distribute through Stirling businesses, even if they come and they say, right, I want to buy HR services. Wait, hold the bus. There'll be something here, and we've accessed that first. It's all about trying to give them that support, and it being as economically acceptable as possible. So no matter whether they come into us direct or through another department, we'll sit down with them. And what I really love about it is you'll sit down with them and they'll say, I need this. I'll say, okay. And then we have a conversation. And what they actually need is this, 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 and this. And we will put together a package of support. And we will map that against their culture, their context, their organizational values. So as much as HR is HR, it's policies and procedures, we'll sit down with that business and say, you know, if you're a garage, this is how we'd fit it in. If you're a care home, this is how we'd fit it in. If you're a school, if you're a retail shop. So it's about understanding that business and mapping that support to really, really add value. And that means that we get to switch out that theory that people have about HR, which is, well, they're the people that tell me no. And they say you can do this and you can't do this and you must fill in this form and this policy, to actually show that we can add value. And the earlier that we get involved with organisations, the more valuable it can be.
Amazing. Amazing. And it's great that it's, you know, there's lots of funding available. I think a lot of businesses don't realise how much funding they can access, whether they're a new business or whether they're trying to scale.
Yep.
And I know there's funding packages for both. So that's fantastic. It's a great opportunity for businesses to really think about. Because I imagine every business needs HR at some point.
They do. And some of the stuff that they need, they don't realise they need. So, you know, the Equality Act 2010 was amended in October. Okay, so they brought in the Worker Protection Act, and that's all about sexual harassment, which is an add-on to bullying and harassment. But that's a legislative, I can't say it today, a legislation that has come in, put my teeth in, that's come in that employers have to adhere to. So as of the 26th of October, that's something that has to be in place. And you don't know what you don't know. So we're putting together packages and going out to our customers to say, here's the training, here's the policies, you need to put it in place. What questions have you got? How do we make you compliant? How do we make you comfortable and competent? But there's a vast array of companies out there. The what? The Worker Protection Act, what's that? So it's important for people to engage with different services to get the experts. You know, if I had a company, I wouldn't do my own books. I'm rubbish with figures. I'd get a bookkeeper. Yep. You know, we're good at what we're good at, and it's there to help them. You know, help them not get in trouble and avoid it as much as possible. So.
And if a business just wanted to find out more about what they don't know, there's also training, like you mentioned. So how would they access that?
So we do a thing called Meet the Expert. We do it on a monthly basis. We don't just do it with HR. There's a framework, and lots of other specialists can go on that as well. And what we do is, with that Meet the Expert, they'll say, I've got some queries, and it's a coffee and a chat. So through that, we can kind of scope what the problem is, what the gap is. And it's not always a problem. It might be, right, I'm at a good place in my business. I'm looking for something next. What can you do to help? So through that conversation, which is discretionary support, again, it's funded, we put our time in to do it, we can then look to build that package. Sometimes the business advisors will be able to scope out a rough skeleton for us, but it's always worth us going in and being able to have a more, a deeper conversation. So
today we're sitting in the beautiful gallery, which is a perfect podcast studio, and you can get great coffee as well.
You can.
Can you tell us a bit more about venue hire through STEP? I know it's not just at the Enterprise Park, there's multiple venues.
Yes, so it's been on a bit of a journey actually. As you'll be aware, Stirling Enterprise Park is an old building, and I'm not saying that 40 is old, I'm saying STEP's 40, but it comes with its challenges. And we've done a lot of work to make sure that it's a beautiful, high quality space for not just our tenants, but also for people to come here to do conferences, to have meetings. So the gallery that we're in today is quite new. It was finished maybe about 6 to 8 weeks ago. And we do have decoration decals on all of the walls, and you will see when you go around the building there's quite a lot of motivational statements, which is obviously manifesting on the positive. The spaces that we create, we think about meeting spaces, we think about breakout spaces, so that they're as versatile as possible. We've got meeting rooms that are suitable for just a couple of people to have a private chat, to it's either 80 or 100 that are biggest room. And this is a big room as well, the gallery, but I think we're up to about 100 in one of our biggest rooms. So there's a lot of venue hire that can be used for various situations. We'll have regular bookings, for example, first aid's often done here. So sometimes you do hear blasted out, staying alive, when they're doing the resuscitation part. So that's always good fun. So yeah, from meetings, we'll have, sometimes you've got quite big establishments in here for conferences, and then tenants will pop in and out. But that's what we can offer in this building. We can offer it in Enterprise House, which is another building we've got in Stirling. They've got tenants and they've got venue hire, so they do exactly the same. We've got Stirling Business Centre, so that's right in the middle of town. We've got tenants in there. There's venue hire and meeting room space in there. We've got, make sure I cover them all. We've got Kildine, which is down at the end of the Rat Block. That's not got meeting space, but it's got individual offices. So we've got tenants in there. And we've got a building across the car park there, which is kitted out with one big tenant. So there's multiple different places. We do need to make sure that if someone's coming, they know they're going to the right building. Yeah. But yes, we've got a bit of a footprint in Stirling in terms of the space and the opportunities that we can provide. So in terms of things that are to come, it's just continually improving them and making them more attractive and modern. You've got to move with the times. So
totally.
yeah.
It's a beautiful space. I got parked easily.
Yes.
And I know you do catering as well, if people need catering for their events from one of the tenants, and so there's lots of working together.
There is, and I think it's important. I think this isn't just, it sounds a little bit corny, it's not just a company. It's a community, it's an ethos, it's a way of working. The whole point of STEP is to do business support. Mm-hmm. And there isn't one label as to what business support looks like, whether it is to make sure that our prices are affordable. So whether it's coming in as a tenant, we're trying to be as affordable as possible, because it's about supporting that business, not being a noose around their neck. There's enough costs. Yeah. It's about giving free parking. It's about corner 30 being really affordable. I'm going there for my lunch today because it's probably cheaper than going and getting a soup to heat up. Yeah. It's about, how do we support, whether it's a service or just actually sometimes being someone to talk to in, times of adversity and when they're a little bit worried. Going back to, don't really want to cast on it, but going back to when we had COVID, there was a lot of essential businesses in here. Mm-hmm. And because of the steps that we put in place, because of the support that we put for our customers, those essential businesses were still able to trade. They were still able to come to work safely and know that they had support, not just physically in what we were providing here, but also that mental and emotional support, because it's more about that community and the way that we do our work. So
helping find the positives.
Always looking for the solution rather than the challenge. It's the only way to be.
I love it. Fantastic. And what is your favourite part of your role or working at STEP?
In one word, I would say variety. So, what we spoke about so far is supporting Stirling businesses with funded support. We've got the HR retainer service, which is, up and down the country. And like I said, on frameworks for Wales as well. We've also got pieces of work we do through tendering. So we do projects. We'll maybe do leadership and management training. And then on top of that, we are an ILM centre. So we are an accredited level 7 ILM centre through City and Guilds. We probably got that award about maybe 5 years ago. We do level 5 and level 7 certificates and diplomas, and we coach people, but we also take people through that accreditation. So I've put over 110 people through that qualification so far. And the point of that is to build a community predominantly in Stirling, which is more helpful to each other. So if businesses can mentor each other, if managers and leaders are more equipped with leadership skills and they can coach their staff and have coaching conversations rather than transactional conversations, then we automatically start to increase the quality of our business environment in Stirling and around Scotland. So we put people through the qualification. 2 of us are level 7 executive coaches. I'm a supervisor. We've got insights, desk, MBTI. So there's a whole other side to the HR department, which is training and development. So going back to your original question of what do I like, and the variety is, I don't know what the content of that email or that phone call is going to be. It could I go on a coaching course, or could I arrange executive coaching? Or it could be, I'm growing my business, help me put in place contracts of employment. Or I want to redesign my business, and can you help me with organizational design and restructure? Could you help me with a 2P transfer because I'm acquiring another business? So we don't know until we open that email what it is we're going to get. And the team has grown. I mean, it started off myself and one other person part-time 8 years ago. There's now 3 other consultants that work in the department.
Wow.
We started off with 11 businesses that wanted us as their outsourced HR department. And as of my last count early this week, we're sitting at 74. And it's through word of mouth. You know, we don't have to do a lot of pushing the pedal in terms of marketing, because if we keep our quality high and people see what we're doing here at Step, they just talk about it.
Yep.
And the best thing that you can do is marketing through word of mouth. So we are very careful to make sure at Step, in anything we do, whether it's HR or whether it's any of the other services, quality is very important. So if I get to the point where workload or resources, we'll pause. We make sure we've got a resource plan to say we need to build in more staff to make sure that we can keep that quality.
To take on anymore,
yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're speaking about Stirling as a whole, are you seeing any trends, and not just HR, but just trends in businesses, maybe what they're struggling with or what they're doing really well?
Yeah.
Are you seeing any trends in the Stirling area?
It's interesting and probably quite a poignant question, in particular because of where we are in terms of in the economy. And funnily enough, I was at the Scottish Chamber dinner in Glasgow last night, so running on about 4 hours sleep.
Yeah. I have a child that doesn't sleep, so I'm the same.
It was a late night and an early morning. So yeah, the conversations were very much about building resilient businesses and finding opportunities out of what can be perceived as negative times.
Yeah.
And that is reflective in Stirling as well as across the world. You know, it's not just here. And the resilient businesses will come out of it. We've seen it with COVID. We've seen it with recessions. And that's when you do build strong businesses. But it's also when you start businesses. So there are gaps. There are things that people need. People are more vocal about what's missing. And they're the opportunities to say, let's put things in place. Let's innovate. Let's think about how we can respond to what the market is looking for. So I would say that as much as, you know, business rates go up and national insurance goes up and tax goes up, and for employers, we're looking at it going, it's harder and it's more costly. It's also an opportunity to say, well, let's look at how to solve those problems. Let's look at how we can reconfigure our business. Because that's what happened when the pandemic hit. The businesses that were able to reconfigure and redesign and adapt and innovate are the ones that came out potentially even stronger, rather than let's just keep doing what we're doing. So I think it's about trying to find the positivity and the opportunity out of every every situation, whether it's HR or whether it's just the wider economic setting that we're in at the moment.
Fantastic. And one thing we were chatting about before we hit the record button was how STEP supports tenants. Like we were chatting about the coffee shop that you have on site and how you bring together lots of your tenants and businesses you support. And I thought that was such a lovely concept and almost like a cornerstone of how you treat people you work with. I really, really liked that.
It is really important to us. We're very careful on how we build and grow STEP. It's important to do it in cognizance to the people, the community, and just not lose sight of our value and what we're here for about putting things back in. So when the opportunity came up, and that building, it's Unit 30, hence why it's 30, and it's on a corner, so aptly named Corner 30. And the takeaway service came out of the fact that actually a staff member had an idea about it. We threw it about, we discussed it, and we said, we have got so many food, drink, hospitality, tourism kind of businesses here. What we could do is provide an affordable takeaway service, provide an extra couple of jobs for the community, but also use it as a showcase. So my Americano this morning that I got in my Step 30 and my Corner 30 cup, the coffee comes from our tenant. You were speaking earlier about, we've got cake companies, we're showcasing them. It's all about using it as a shop front to promote tenants. So our tenants are here and a lot of them, will use this as their base, but now they've actually got a window into that business as well to promote it. So we're delighted because we're getting, good home cooked food at very reasonable prices, and it's right on our doorstep, but it's serving the tenants at the same time. So we're not losing sight of what we're here to do, serving that community and putting back in. And using them as local. You couldn't get more local, that it's another unit where we're getting the coffee. So that is local produce.
Totally. And I know when you're a tenant at STEP, you're not just a tenant. There's loads of fantastic benefits to help businesses grow. Is there any examples you have we could share? Or
I think in terms of being a tenant here, and we've got quite a few testimonials from tenants where they'll say, it's just about the wraparound care. I mean, the property department, their door's always open. And most of their job is reactive. There's a tenant that pops in and they're saying, I've got a question. It might not even be something specific to do with the skill set in that office. But they're so dedicated to their tenants. They'll say, right, okay, well, leave it with me. I'll have a look and I'll come back. And sometimes it's about referring to another department. Sometimes it's about referring to another business in Stirling itself. The tenants will use each other as well. They're a great community. In December, we'll start our Christmas parties with our tenants. So we get them all in, we feed them all, we do raffles and quizzes, and it's a good opportunity to get everyone together. In the past, we've done Christmas markets. We all work on things together and get their feedback quite regularly through tenant surveys to see what we can do about improving the place and the services. So there's always a list, and we continually work through the list to make this a better place to be.
That's amazing. And we're filming this right before we all break up for Christmas.
Yes.
So I thought it would be good to chat about if you've got any plans for 2025 or anything exciting. I'm sure there's lots of things, but just if there was anything you would like to chat about and share.
I think I'm trying to say off the top of my head, there is. I mean, we've opened Corner 30 this side of the year. We've done our 40th celebrations. We will always be looking for ways to improve facilities and things like that here, and bring new events. So in terms of what's new, we're probably looking at expanding on some services. We've just actually put some staff through some qualifications, which means that we can add to our services.
Amazing.
And that comes like it normally does from feedback or asks, where they say, oh, do you not do this? And what about if you did this, then we could get all of that in the same place. So there's a couple of things that we've done where we can now deliver that in-house. The staff are really delighted in that investment. So that's a little bit of a watch this space. I'm waiting on, we've got a little bit of an agreement of when we're going to tell everyone about a couple of things. But it is exciting, and it's really good to be in the position that we can react to people. I mean, we did it years ago with, if you go back to looking at the Step HR retainer, we had a customer that we spoke to, and they said, the only reason I didn't go with you at the time is because you didn't have an HR platform that we could use.
Got it.
Where we couldn't put our holidays in and look at rotas and put all our documents in. I says, okay, that's fine. So we reached out to a couple of different platforms. We got in touch with Breathe HR, became an accredited partner, and now also are able to run HR platforms and have that visibility for our clients as well. So if we're doing, for an example, a letter, someone's getting a salary increase, we'll pick something positive. So someone's getting a salary increase and we're helping draft the letter for them and getting that out to the manager. Rather than email back and forward to say, can you give me the details? We've got visibility. We can help them run reports. We can see that. So we're adding to it. It's a good example of what can you do to use platforms and digital and AI to be more efficient, which is how you should be using AI, to use it as a co-pilot and help solve problems. So that's another example of, I didn't come to you because you didn't have that. And actually the success story of that is when their subscription to who they did go with ran out, they reached out, we had the platform, and they've been with us for 2.5 years. So it's about responding. We benefit because we've got that customer back that we had a good relationship with, but ultimately we've given them something they asked for. So that's what drives us at the end of the day.
It just shows if there's a problem, you find a solution. It's solution-based thinking all the time.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned AI there, and how are you using it yourself? Are you helping other businesses use it? I know a lot of businesses are almost scared of it. In my own line of work, I do quite a bit of training and helping people utilize it, like you say, as a co-pilot rather than do the work for them, but use it as a co-pilot, and it can really benefit and streamline and save them time. But a lot of businesses are a bit hesitant.
Yeah. I think it was funny because there was somebody last night at the conference speaking about AI, and her speech was brilliant. And she was talking about how AI, which they've been working on in the basement for 30 years, was used to help solve problems like SARS, and, the let them out to say, the stuff you did to help with finding bleeds in the brain and things that you did to help with the SARS outbreak and COVID, can you come out and actually start put this into practice? And people are scared of AI, but it needs to be used with boundaries, with rules and with frameworks. But also you need to be aware and have your cyber training and be aware of your ransomwares and what you can do if you don't have good cyber awareness. So it's about using it properly and using it to find a solution to a problem, and then using that as an efficiency. So in terms of our customers, some of them are using it to enhance processes. And one of the big things in HR that people are really scared of is you'll say AI and they'll say job losses. It's going to take away my job. What it's going to do if we use it properly is allow us to work more efficiently and get more out of our people. So all the stuff that we have to manually do that takes up our time, that maybe doesn't equate to the right amount of money per hour that we're paid, that's maybe just sucking on the hours but not actually being that efficient financially, find an AI solution to take that off your desk and then reallocate your time to go and do something to develop your business, to find new customers, to generate more income. It's about being smart and using it as a solution rather than use it to do the bits of your job that you should be doing, or, use it as a blocker. So I think there's a lot of education around it that needs to come. But I think if you look for opportunities rather than problems with it, it could really be useful and make us more effective, better to reckon with in terms of a business community. So I do think there's a lot of good that can come out of it if we use it properly.
Totally. I think that's what's kind of come out of this conversation, like really positive words from yourself. If we look at things positively, good things will come.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling as a business, try and find the positives. If you're scared of something in business, try and find the positives, or get in touch with an expert who will help you find those positives and help you find those solutions. And STEP does that in Stirling for Stirling businesses. So I think that was probably a good way to end is, you know, if you're struggling, if you're needing help finding the positives, get in touch with STEP.
Definitely. Manifest the positivity. Definitely.
I love that word.
Manifest.
Yeah.
Closing word for the day.
Thank you so much for your time, Vicky.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure to find out what you do and a little bit more about STEP. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the time and the opportunity. It's been good.